All right, let's go ahead and get started. I got about it's 2:33 Eastern time, so let's go ahead and jump in. So welcome everyone to the Society of Thoracic Surgeons General Thoracic Surgery Database monthly webinar. Today is Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. I cannot believe we are halfway through the month of July. I hope everyone's staying cool and having a great summer so far. On the call with me today from the STS side, we have myself and Carol Crone, Emily Conrad, and Ruth Raleigh, and Sydney Clinton. From our IQVIA team, we have Joe and Melanie joining us today. So welcome everyone. Thank you guys for joining. In terms of the agenda today, standard agenda, I'll give a quick STS update. Ruth will provide some updates for July for the training manual. Then we'll turn things over to IQVIA for a quick update. And then we'll finish off with your user feedback. Of course, if you have any questions, please do submit your questions via the Q&A and not the chat box, please. So again, please submit those questions via the Q&A. And we'll get those answered for you as soon as possible. If you have an outstanding ticket to IQVIA you're looking for an update on, please include that ticket number in the Q&A box, and Joe can start looking into that for you and try and get some feedback for you. All right, so let's go ahead and hop in. STS updates. The training manual for July will be posted by the end of the day today, so I apologize for the delay there. Several of us were on vacation last week, so there was just a little bit of delay getting that posted. So that is coming, and again, Ruth is going to cover all of those updates for you today. Also, as you are aware, the spring 22 analysis results have been released. That is the lung and esophageal composite reports have been released and were posted in the platform on July the 11th. We did send a formal communication out to the GTS participants announcing the composite results. The participant results for the benchmark and legacy reports will be released separately. So those will be coming soon. We'll have a date for you, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, of when those benchmark and legacy reports will be released. And when those are available, we will send another communication to you all, letting you know the date or letting you know when those are posted and available within the platform. Also, with the release of the spring 22 results, the updated analysis overview is posted in the IQVIA library, as well as the spring 22 harvest composite quality rating summary document. That is also posted and available to you all out in the library. Also, if you have any report-related questions for the reports that you just received, please submit those directly to GTSD tech support at IQVIA.com. Tech support will answer your questions as quickly as possible. If they are not able to answer your questions, they will forward them on to Tier 2 and possibly on to STS for additional input. Just keep a friendly reminder, I don't have access to your participant report, so I'm not able to pull up your report and look at it directly. So again, if you could just reach out to tech support first, and then they will either answer your question for you or route it to myself for assistance. Also, in relation to the report release, the IQVIA platform access, if you have staff that need access, new staff that need access to the account to view the report, or if you need to deactivate old users, please complete the STS participant contact form that's located out on the STS website. The link is located there. If you have any questions about completing that form, please reach out to us at stsdb@sts.org for assistance. All right, just a friendly reminder, the fall 22 harvest is currently underway. That harvest is scheduled to close September the 9th with an opt-out date of September the 13th. And the fall 22 harvest will include procedures up through June the 30th of 2022, and look at to having those results to you all this winter. So again, we do encourage you to submit your data early and often and not wait until that very last week. Greatly appreciate it. But again, we do encourage you to continue to submit your data early and often. Additional STS updates in the communication that was sent along with the Spring 22 report release announcement. We did update you all in regards to public reporting. The GTSD public reporting website was updated on July 11th. The website, again, does utilize those results from the fall 2021 harvest. And again, that data goes from July 1, 2018 up through June 30th of 2021. If you have any questions related to public reporting, please reach out to Sydney Clinton. And Sydney, her email is here. She can be reached at sclinton@sts.org. And again, any public reporting related questions should go directly to Sydney. The 2022 audit is currently underway. Audit notification and instruction letters were sent. The STS audit webpage has been updated with 2022 audit details. If you weren't selected this year, if you're curious about what all is included in the audit, what variables we look at for audit, please visit the STS website for all that information. The complete list of audited variables is located out there. If you have any questions for those sites that have been selected and are currently undergoing the audit process, if you have any questions regarding your audit, please reach out to CRS directly. They can help you with audit related questions. Also, as you're aware, AQO is coming up this year. We're very excited. We're back to our in-person meeting. AQO is scheduled for October 26th through the 28th of 2022 of this year. We will be in Providence, Rhode Island. Registration is open. Early bird registration pricing continues through Friday, August the 26th. So I do have a list of the pricing here. As you can see, the early bird special for STS members for one track is $550, two tracks is $900, multi-day $1,150, virtual pass is $300. And for non-members, early bird is $650, $1,100, $1,100, $1,450 for multi-day, and the virtual pass is $400. Now, just a reminder, the difference between the STS member and the non-member, that's not referring to whether or not you are a participant. The STS member versus non-member pricing is based upon whether you yourself are an actual STS member. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Any AQO related questions, you can reach out to Emily directly. Let's see here. Also, this visual marketing provided this visual for us, which I thought was really great. So for the general thoracic session, it will be held on Wednesday, October the 26th. Here we have just kind of a little checklist of what you get in person versus what will be available to you with the virtual pass. So obviously, we would love to have you there in person. We really encourage you, if you can, please come and join us in person at AQO. The main thing that you need to realize with the virtual pass versus in person. So the on-demand content, just going to run through what you get with the virtual pass and in person at the same time. So the main thing to remember is if you have a virtual pass, we will not be live streaming AQO. So you will not be able to participate live as the sessions are going on. So you will have on-demand content that will be available to you in mid-October, which is the same as the in-person attendees. But you will have the recorded archive of in-person sessions, and that will be available to you in mid-November. So if you have the virtual pass, the recorded archive of all of our in-person sessions will be available to you in mid-November. Also, for those that are not able to attend in person and do utilize the virtual pass, we will have a follow-up webinar in January. We'll bring back all of our speakers, our hot topics, so our speakers that presented during the live sessions, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions to them in a live format. So just to let you know, you can utilize, we will have that in-person hot topics webinar in January. And I think I'm having some audio issues. I'm not sure. I don't know, Carol, can you guys hear me okay right now?
I'm sorry, Leanne. What was your question?
I didn't know if you guys could hear me okay. It sounds like I'm having some audio issues on the other end, so I apologize.
It sounds okay. It sounds like, yeah, it's going in and out a little bit, but I can hear you okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys.
It sounds like you need a drink of water.
Oh, well, I don't know. We can try that. Let's see. Sorry.
I don't know.
Let's see. Hold on. Okay. So, all right, I'm sorry about that. But just to get back, the AQO Hot Topics webinar will be held in January. And again, we'll be bringing back our speakers that presented live in person. We'll be bringing them back in January, and those with the virtual pass will have the opportunity to come and ask questions live and in person in those Hot Topics webinar. You will continue to be able to vote on your favorite e-poster, and obviously, most importantly, you will also be able to get your continuing education credits with the virtual pass. All right. Also, educational sessions and the social events will take place at the Rhode Island Convention Center, and STS has already reserved a block of rooms at the Omni Providence Hotel. So we do encourage you to go ahead and reserve your room. This special AQO group rate is guaranteed through Tuesday, October the 4th. So again, we do encourage you to reserve your room early if you are able to join us in person.
Yeah. Leanne, it is really going in and out. I don't know if it's if you're connected with a wire, it might not be plugged in all the way or something.
Sorry, guys. Let me see. I think it's my Wi-Fi, Carol.
Okay, I mean, I can hear you okay, but it is it's up and down. But
okay, sorry about that. All right. I'm just about done, so I'm going to try and get through this and not torture you guys anymore. Also, real quick, AQO is going green. So all materials will be posted, and you should print those prior to coming to the in-person session. So bring those with you. We're trying to save some trees. So again, keep that in mind. Also, we did have a quick poll just to get an idea of how many of you plan to attend AQO. So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll if you could.
Oh, I launched it.
Oh, you did? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Carol. Perfect. All right.
Hold on, wait, don't. Oh, let me. Oh, there you go.
Yep. So it looks like some of you are undecided. 36% of you are not able to participate in AQO this year. We can't wait to see some of you in person. So it looks like we're a little bit all over the place. So if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Also, if you need a justification letter for AQO, I did want to go out to the STS website. Let me show you where this information can be found. So from sts.org, from our homepage, if you go to meetings, you click on live courses, scroll down to 2022 AQO. This will bring you to our homepage. And if you scroll down, you'll see the link for registration, the printable registration form, book hotel, and then you can click this link here to request a justification letter. Just fill out this information here and submit, and that will be sent directly to you.
Yeah, and I think one of the other things our meetings folks wanted us to share is that if you are planning to register but you haven't done so yet, is to please go ahead and get registered for the meeting. They're looking at counts, and we want to make sure that we're meeting our counts to hold the meeting. So if you are going to register, please do so for the in-person.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah.
All right. So next, I'm going to turn things over to Ruth, and then I am going to try and figure out what is going on with my audio while she is presenting. So Ruth, floor is yours.
Thank you, Leanne. And there's a big storm rolling through Michigan right now, so hopefully my audio will cooperate as well. We'll see. I hopefully won't lose power here. So let's start with the FAQ mailbox submissions. Just a reminder that when you submit a question to the FAQ mailbox, that it's very important to make sure that you double check your email address to make sure that it's not misspelled or missing a letter or symbol. That way, when I reply to you, you can get my response in a timely fashion. Also a reminder not to include any symbols or slashes or ands in the sequence number, as it apparently also causes issue with the submission. And then I think we're going to launch into the training manual updates for July. So as Leanne mentioned earlier, all of these will be published hopefully later this afternoon. So for sequence 580, which is reoperation, there was a request for me to restate the May and June clarifications into one consolidated statement for clarity. So none of this is a change to what's already been stated, but really just a restatement of previous direction given. So when you look at answering sequence 580 reoperation, it is a two-step process. You first need to determine if a prior operation was performed in the same anatomic space. So it's important to note that the thoracic cavity is broken down into subsections. A patient that had a CABG and is now having a lung resection would not be considered to meet the criteria of having an operation performed in the same anatomic space. If you look in the training manual, there's a colored diagram that's helpful for delineating those different spaces. So first, you'll look at step one, and if you did have a prior operation in the same anatomic space, then you'll move on to step two, which is to review the current operative report for documentation indicating increased difficulty or complexity of the current procedure due to the prior operation in that same cavity. So for example, documented lysis of adhesions. If the case that you're abstracting has both a prior operation in the same anatomic space, so number one, and the current procedure was more complex, also number two, then you code yes to sequence 580. So hopefully the restatement clears things up for sequence 580. I know it's a lot of words. Sequence 590, history of cardiopulmonary disease. So to further clarify the May 22 guidance regarding capturing regurgitation, in order to capture regurgitation, it must be graded as moderate or severe, which aligns with the direction given for other types of valvular disease. This one's pretty straightforward. History of pre-op meds. Plaquenil is considered an immunosuppressive therapy and would be captured in sequence 690. Sequence 1470, procedure. So there was a question that came up subsequent to the March 22 clarification that was provided around patients who die intraoperatively. So the only instance where the primary procedure coded would not match the primary procedure that was actually performed is in the instance where the patient dies intraoperatively before the intended primary procedure is able to be completed. So that's what we were talking about in March of 22, which is in the training manual. So for example, if your surgeon takes a patient to the OR and is planning to do a lobectomy, but upon entry into the chest cavity notes that there's pleural metastatic disease and chooses to convert the planned lobectomy to a pleural biopsy, that case would not be required for abstraction. If you choose to enter the case, the primary procedure would be the pleural biopsy. So the intent of the clarification in March was only to pertain to patients who have an intraoperative mortality so that those mortalities can be captured, not that we generally change the way we code cases and code intended procedures instead of completed procedures for all cases. Sequence 1510, lung cancer. Again, an update pertaining to a previous clarification provided. So given the clarification provided in March that the intent of sequence 1510 is to capture data on new primary lung cancer resections and that no should be coded to sequence 1510 for recurrent lung cancers, sites are not required to abstract cases performed for recurrent lung cancer. We wouldn't capture the lung cancer data even if you did choose to abstract the case. Version 521 requires submission of all lung resections for new primary lung cancer. Same sequence, code yes to 1510 for new primary carcinoid tumors of the lung that are therapeutically resected. So really the question there is, are primary carcinoid tumors considered lung cancer? And the answer is yes. Same sequence. If a new primary lung cancer is therapeutically resected, it must be captured. So for example, a patient had a pneumonectomy for recurrent infections, and on final pathology, the patient had an adenocarcinoma that was staged as MPT1A. I'm sorry. PN0. The case is required for entry. So the intent of the procedure isn't significant. The patient had a therapeutic resection for lung cancer, even though the intent going in was to manage infection. This happens sometimes with cardiac cases too. Sequence 1560, hiatal hernia data, code no to 1560 for periconduit hernia, hiatal hernia repairs. These are patients that have had an esophagectomy in the past for one reason or another, and often there will be a hernia around the conduit that's formed for the esophagectomy, and those cases have very different expected outcomes and very different risks going in, and the intent of the STS was not to capture those cases and mix the data with traditional hiatal hernia repairs. Sequence 1800, which is lung cancer tumor size for mixed density lesions with no documented size for the solid component. You can leave sequence 1800 blank, which was already in the training manual, is kind of buried in there, so we pulled it out. Sequence 1810, clinical staging for lung tumors. So July's update is additional clinical T staging information from the IASLC for completely ground glass and mixed density lesions has been added below. And if you look in the training manual, there are several links that you can click on. There's also a picture of one of the charts that comes directly from the IASLC talking about how ground glass and mixed density lesions are clinically staged. Additionally, I think it's important to note that clinical T stage is not based exclusively on the size of the nodule. So factors such as invasion, obstructive atelectasis also play a role in clinical T stage. If you don't have a clinical T stage from your surgeon, you just need to be careful using only nodule size to determine your clinical T stage, because it's not entirely based on size. And the best thing is always have it in a note from your surgeon. Sequence 1880, nodal assessment. So this we talked about extensively at the last webinar. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here again, but in summary, after a lot of conversation internally amongst the surgeons and a subgroup of surgeons, and then going back to the broader group of surgeons, a tough decision was made on how to count lymph nodes in the era of synoptic pathology reports. So this is the summary statement from that series of meetings. Nodes that are harvested during mediastinoscopy performed either at a prior separate setting or during the same anesthetic as the lung resection must be included in the final nodal count. Nodes that are sampled prior to induction therapy of any kind are not included in the final count. And then nodes sampled during preoperative EBUS are not included in the final surgical resection nodal count. I did get a question since I put this together regarding lymph nodes that are resected via VATS previous to the resection. So instead of the mediastinoscopy, the surgeon took the patient to the OR for a VATS nodal resection. Those would be counted in the same way that they are for mediastinoscopy, and I'll update the training manual for August with that direction. Sequence 2020, number of malignant nodes. If your final pathology report indicates NX because of atypical cells, code the number of malignant nodes as 0. Atypical cells are generally not counted as positive for malignancy. sequence 3560, hiatal hernia 1-year follow-up. And really the question applies to any follow-up. So the question is about something called an endoflip procedure. It is not captured as an endoscopic intervention. It's diagnostic. If symptomatic recurrence led to the diagnostic endoflip procedure, then you would capture that as appropriate. Sequence 4270, this is a pretty significant change. So this is about readmissions. So you will code no to readmission within 30 days of discharge if the readmission was planned and is unrelated to the thoracic procedure performed. So for example, a patient has 2 types of cancer concurrently. The plan preoperatively was for the patient to have the lobectomy, to go home, and then to be readmitted 3 weeks later for resection of their parotid gland. In this instance, the readmission would not be captured. I think that is the last one.
Hi, Ruth. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh yeah, you're much better now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I switched to my phone direct. So, all right. Sorry about that, everyone. I really apologize. Next, we're going to turn things over to IQVIA. Joe has a few updates that he wants to share. So here you go, Joe.
Great. Thank you, Leanne. As Leanne said, just a few updates from us today. We did post the risk-adjusted dashboard reports for the spring 2022 harvest. These were released on the weekend of July 9th, just this past weekend. Along with that, we did post an updated version of the analysis report overview. So that is currently available in the library. And also the spring 22 GTSD harvest composite quality rating summary has also been posted to the library. So if you're looking for those documents, those should be available to you there. Currently, the lung and esophageal cancer composite results for the report are available. However, we do have the other reports, including the benchmarks and things like that, are still pending. So you will see those in a later release. For the time being, the export and print feature has temporarily been disabled. So if you're looking to export or print your report, note that that option is not currently on the screen. That is just temporary while we work on the development of the other reports, the legacy and the benchmark reports. So for now, we have begun the process of emailing out PDF versions of those reports. If you haven't received that by, I would say, tomorrow, let us know and we can certainly look and assist you with that. But those emails should be coming out within a couple days. Some updates in regard to some items that were brought to our attention. STS 8370, the report logic was updated to include the 5.2 data version calculation changes for the minimally invasive calculation. So the details are included on the updated analysis report overview, which is, as I mentioned earlier, posted to the library for your reference. On the missing variable report, STS 8262, the MVR race fields were displaying as missing if the data version was 5.21.1, but the demographics version was lower. So that should now be resolved. And then on the uploader, or if you do direct data entry, STS 7998, the social security number known variable was previously not populating data on the case form when the demographic version was 2.4 or lower, and the data version was the current one, 5.21.1. So if you had been experiencing that issue, that has now been corrected. And that is it, with our usual reminders that if we are looking into any items that you have reported. If you need an update or haven't heard back on something, feel free to reach out to us and we can provide that update for you. And we will post additional items to the notifications section as they become known.
Great. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Okay, next, you guys are familiar with this information, just my contact information, email if you need to reach me directly, as well as the email address for any STS database operational questions. If you have questions regarding your participation agreement, the current contacts listed for your site, access to the platform, please reach out to us at stsdb@sts.org, not IQVIA for access within the platform. Again, reach out to us at the database operational email address listed there. Upcoming webinars, our next user group call is scheduled for June 27th at 2:30 Central Time, and our next monthly webinar is scheduled for August 10th at 1:30 Central Time. On our next user group call, we are scheduled, just to give you guys a heads up, I know we had talked about this on the previous webinar, but one of our core group managers, Katie Lothrop, is going to do a walkthrough of the newly released report, give an overview, walk through the sections, how to understand the report, best ways to utilize the information in your reports. If you have any questions, again, Katie's going to do a walkthrough of each of the reports, the benchmark and legacy reports. So again, just to give you all kind of a refresher of how to use the data, how to understand the data, just a high level overview of the newly released reports. And also there'll be presentations at AQO on using the data for quality improvement purposes and things like that. So again, just a heads up for the next user group call scheduled on the 27th for a high level overview of, it says June, it should be July. So for June 27th, no, June 27th. So our next user group call is July 27th. We're in the month of July. We are in the month of July. Good Lord have mercy. So I'll get that corrected.
You okay, Leanne?
No, I'm not. My brain is still on vacation. So it should be July. I will get that for July 27th. Next, in a couple weeks. So that presentation will be, oh my God. That presentation will be on July 27th, not June 27th. So mark your calendars. All right, that's all that I have for today. I think it's been a rough one for me so far, but we'll continue to just struggle on through this thing. But if you guys have any questions, let's go ahead and get to those. I do see a couple of questions in the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get to those. Let's see.
And
right.
just to chime in, I still think it's June too.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's ridiculous. I need to go back on vacation, Carol. Gonna throw that out there. All right. Our first question from Nikolai. Can you please talk about the audit's post-submission next steps? So I think you're referring to I'm not sure if I understand that you've been selected for audit. You've submitted all of your information to the auditors. Is that what you're referring to, Nikolai? I'm not sure.
I would say if that is, then CRS is auditing your, performing the audit. They will be following up with you with a preliminary results, and you'll be able to go through those with CRS. And then they provide a little bit of an adjudication period. And then you'll go over that with CRS. You'll have the opportunity to have a webinar to go over those results. And then what they do is wrap that up, and they send the final version to STS, and STS will provide the final audit results to you. And it will probably be in the fall. So I'm going to say around October, November, December.
Great. Thanks, Emily. All right. All right, Ruth, I think you want to tackle this next question from Beth.
Sure, yeah. And I went into this in the last webinar too, Beth, so it might be helpful to go back and catch that one if you didn't. But the question is, can you explain why the total number of all nodes assessed includes nodes taken by media cystoscopy or VATS, but not from an EBIS that was performed just prior to a resection? I'm not understanding the reasoning behind this. Is this going to cause issues with audits? This will affect other sequence numbers. So the reason that the surgeons agreed not to include EBIS in the total number of lymph nodes assessed is because a node that is sampled by EBIS can still technically be resected during surgery. So if you sample station 4R by EBIS, when the surgeon does the resection, they can resect those 4R nodes. However, if your surgeon does an excellent job of removing those 4R lymph nodes via media cystoscopy or VATS, the lymph nodes aren't there to be reharvested. And so they would be counted then when you pull them forward from your media synoscopy or your VATS. And that's really the difference between the procedures. And the surgeons agreed that that rationale made sense. And it was definitely a topic that was discussed. Will it cause issues with the audits? No, the auditors use the training manual as their guideline when they complete the audit. So they will follow the same methodology that you use when you abstract the case. And yes, it does affect other sequences. I think I put a list of them in the last webinar. I can add that list of sequences to the training manual as well.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks so much, Ruth.
Mhm.
Okay. Here's another one. Is there a hierarchy for size of mass in the thymus section? Should you use CT scan or MRI first? Is it similar to lung cancer size of tumor?
I don't know that we have made a decision on hierarchy of size for mass in the thymus section, but I'm happy to ask the surgeons if what their preferences on that. If you want to submit that as an FAQ, I would appreciate it, Donna.
Yeah, we could cover that on our core call. That would be great. I think our core call is Friday, right? I think it's Friday.
It is this Friday, yes. And
Yeah,
it was
it's Friday. Yes. Yeah, so
it was a little bit longer that we had to reschedule due to some scheduling contacts. So I know a few people have been waiting a little bit longer than 30 days for answer to questions. But we are meeting this Friday, and I will follow up with everyone after that.
great, thank you. Suzanne, looks like you've already sent an email to tech support. 0% for clinical staging methods on the spring 22 hours report. Okay, so that's something IQVIA would have to look at. I can't answer that right now. So that's something IQVIA will look into for Suzanne, and they will follow up.
Yeah, I was just let me jump in to say that we
yeah,
did
go ahead,
a couple reports of that. We are looking to get that escalated and get a ticket created to review that. So once we have that, the agent that was assigned the ticket that you emailed us, we'll get back to you and let you know more details.
Okay. All righty. Let's see, if you code yes to 4190 or 4190, you also code yes to 3670. Did you answer that one, Ruth?
I am searching sequences. I apologize. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
4190 is off the top of my head. I'm clicking through. 1 second. So 4190 is IR embolization of a post-operative chyle, and 3670 I assume is the post-op procedure through a newer existing incision. Indicates.
What I want. Yeah.
If you want to send it in as an FAQ, I think that'd probably be the best, Mindy. Sorry, I don't want to answer it on the fly. And
yeah,
I'll update the training manual then. And then I think the next question is readmission for chemo. If you want to submit that one as well, Heather, I'll have the surgeons who discussed the readmission update clarify that point.
Okay. Yeah, Mindy, if yeah, Donna was asking about the same practice. Okay, yeah. So just submit that and we'll talk about that on our call on Friday. Mindy, yep, submit that. As best practice, do you revise procedure CPT codes to match your department's codes as much as possible?
No.
I don't know.
Not necessarily. I mean, there are definitely instances when the code that you select for the STS registry doesn't necessarily match the CPT codes at your institution for analyzed cases.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ruth, is the change to sequence 4270 readmission retroactive, or should we just change our coding going forward from the time the training manual is updated?
All changes to the training manual are always going forward. None of them are ever retroactive.
Thank you. All right, if there is no WHO classification in the path report, is it okay to leave it blank? Can this be answered by the surgeon?
It can be left blank, yes. It's fine if you leave it blank. I'm not sure what you mean by can this be answered by the surgeons? Like, could they classify the pathology? I don't think that your surgeons would be able to do that, but perhaps I would ask them what their thoughts are at your institution.
Yeah.
And I would also follow up with your pathologist and see if it's possible for them to add the WHO classification to your pathology report. I find that the pathologists love having conversations about pathology, so I've reached out to mine liberally, and they're always very helpful and very excited to help and provide education and information about specific cases, because there will always be strange one-off cases that are hard to generalize, and they can give you tons of in-depth information that can be really helpful. And it's not uncommon for a pathology report to have to be addended with a specific correction or piece of information.
Right. Make friends with your pathologist.
Yes, just like being friends with your surgeons is so helpful, and your radiologists.
All right. Okay. I'm not seeing any additional questions. Is there anything that I have not? I did want to, I know I mentioned we talked about the audit and where to find audit information for those that may be interested in the STS audits. You have not been selected yet. So I just wanted to point that out. From the STS homepage, if you click on the STS National Database, if you scroll down under important resources, under these links here, just click on the link for audits, and this will take you to our STS National Database audit page. And for each of our databases, we have the separate tabs here. Just click on General Thoracic, and here you can see all the information for the current 2022 audit, our FAQs, and audit instructions. So the audit variables are listed, I think, in the audit instructions. So all that information is there if you're curious of how the audit process works and what we're looking at for the current audit. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out. Anything else that I may have missed, Carol, Emily, Ruth?
There's a question in the chat. It says,
okay.
hi, when will the star rating report be released?
Oh, okay. Those reports were released on the 11th. So those reports were released. If you have any questions about your report, reach out to GTSD tech support at IQVIA.com. And of course, that was the lung and esophageal composite rating reports. The benchmark and legacy reports will be coming here soon. So those benchmark and legacy reports have not been released yet, but they will be coming soon. Okay, are there any other questions? Anybody see anything? Oh, there's a hand raised. Maggie, Maggie, do you have a question? What about the lung resection composite rating? That's the lung resection composite is underneath the lung tab. So the lung resection composite report is out there. So that is posted. Oh, I think Maggie had a question. Hello, Maggie, you're unmuted, I think.
That was my question. I was looking
okay.
For, where the, segmentectomies, bilobectomies, pneumonectomy report was, but it's posted.
Yeah. So here, let me go here. Sharing my screen. So the GTS risk adjusted dashboard report, the spring 22 timeframe. Sorry, it's taking a little bit of time. So under the lung cancer, we have our lobectomy, the STS, the NIS, the minimally invasive report, our lobectomy, our lung cancer staging procedures, and our lung cancer resection. Composite rating details are all located here, and then your esophagectomy. The lesion specific, the benchmark and legacy reports are not yet available. Those will be coming soon.
Okay, great. Thanks, Leanne.
No problem, Maggie. All right. All right. That's all that I see right now. I don't see anything else. Okay. Well, I think that is going to do it for today. I'm going to take the next 10 minutes and try and figure out which month we're in and get that slide corrected. And I will get this recording and the slide deck posted over to sent over to our marketing team so they could get this updated and posted on the STS website. Thanks everybody for joining today. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me directly. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Thanks everyone.